The purpose of the following video is to use a reading and writing strategy to engage students in an active learning process. Given that comprehension is a core component of reading instruction, I will use a comprehension strategy called GIST. The word GIST stands for Generating Interaction Between Schemata and Text. This strategy helps students to read expository text and get the main idea by using the 5 W questions, which are who, what, when, where, and why, and the H question, which is how. This helps to limit the summary. Our students must then summarize the gist of what they read in 20 words or less. For the purpose of this lesson, after introducing, explaining, and modeling the process of the GIST strategy, students will be able to summarize a shared passage. Okay, we're going to begin this session by looking at some of the pictures I have for you here. What can we see in the first one? Blackbird. Are these things found in our environment, or yes, are they things that we don't know anything about? They are found in our environment. Okay. So, do you think that they are important for our country? Yes. Why?
One is a national.
Can you tell me why?
Because one is a national symbol.
Okay, one of them is a national symbol. Is it important because it's only for that reason, or why else? Or why are birds, for instance, or waterfalls, corals? They form part of our one, our natural environment, right? And because they provide us with different sources of resources, then they're very important and we must protect them, right? Today we're just going to read and find out about these very important places. We're going to read about one very important one. I'm going to give you a copy of a shared passage, and I want you to read it in pairs. Then after reading it, we're going to ask you some questions. What we're going to be doing today is using a new strategy to get the main ideas of what you're reading. This strategy is called the GIST approach. Okay, and to get the gist of what you read, you're going to start off by answering some of the questions based on the passage that you read. Okay, so I'm going to begin first with the questions that I have here. To get the gist of what you have read, we answer 5 questions, 5 W questions. These 5 W questions are who, what, where, when, and why. Plus, we also have an H question, which is how. Okay? So in this case, because we're speaking of the coral reef, which is the title of our passage, I have joined the 2 questions here, who or what, because it's not about who, but about why. Okay? So let us begin then by answering the first one. So as I said, we're going to omit the who, and we're only going to use the what. So what is the passage about? Anybody wants to give a response? Yes?
The passage is about coral reefs.
Coral reefs. So what I'm going to do is just write down what she said. So it's coral reefs. The second question, where do corals live? Where do corals live? Yes?
Maybe on the sea.
In the sea, right? And what type of conditions will the sea be in so that corals can live? Yes? How must the sea be so that these corals can live? There must be a certain condition that the sea must be in so that these corals can survive. Want to look for it in the first sentence? Okay. They like what type of waters? Warm and shallow. So the corals live in warm and shallow waters, right? So these conditions are very important for corals to grow in, or for corals to form. The other question is, how are coral reefs formed? Yes.
When a polyp dies, a chunky skeleton remains and another polyp will grow on top of the old one.
Okay, very good. When a polyp dies, it remains, forms a chalky substance, which is very hard. And so a new polyp grows on that remains of polyps, right? And so it builds up on that. So coral reefs are formed on remains of dead polyps, right? Remains of dead polyps. Polyps die, and when they die, a new one grows on top of it. And when that one dies, a new one forms on top of it, right? And so little by little, that's how they are formed. Okay, and in the passage we see that they grow approximately how much per year? 1 inch. 1 inch. So 1 inch is very little. It's a very, very slow process, and that is why corals are very delicate. A very delicate part of our environment. So, why are coral reefs important? That is the fourth question. One. At least one. Yes.
The coral reef is important because it protects the coast from erosion.
Okay, what would you? She says it protects the coast from erosion. Any other thing? Or do you agree with her? What she said is right? Okay. So corals protect the coast. Okay, they protect the coast from erosion, right? So we protect the coast. And what we have done is, by answering these questions, we have reduced the contents of this passage to just these few words. And now we have another challenge. Know that we have only gotten the gist or the main points of what you have read. Our next goal is to write a summary using only the information from the questions that we ask. Okay, so right now you will not look at the passage, you will only look at the answers that we wrote, and our goal is to write a summary that is 20 words long. Okay? It could be less than 20 words, but it cannot be more than 20 words. Okay, so do you understand that? So that's a challenge that we have right now. We want to say all this information in 20 words or less. Okay, so I'm going to give you a paper, and I want you to work in the same pairs that you read the passage in, and I want you to think of the summary that you would write, or a sentence that would summarize what you read that is no more than 20 words. So it can be 20 words or less. Okay. Let's see if we can do it. you write, or when you finish writing, count the amount of words that you use to see if you were able to meet the task in 20 words, okay?
Water. Likes to live in warm, shallow water.
Continue writing there. On this side.
Then prefers to live in warm, shallow water. The coral reef found is
Why are corals important?
the coral reef.
Count the amount of words that you
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24.
In the interest of time, we will get the first two groups to share what they came up with. First, I want you to tell me the amount before you read the summary that you wrote. Just tell me the amount of words that you came up with, and then you read the summary. Okay? The words, not the words. Okay, right? Okay. No, it's the words. Since you have finished writing your summaries, I would like you to share them with the class. And I would like you to tell me first the amount of words that you use to summarize it and then read it for us. You don't have to read the title, but begin from where you started to write the summary. Let's begin from this side.
15 words. The coral reef lives in warm and shallow waters. Coral reefs are formed by dead polyps.
Okay, 15 words. The coral reef live in warm, shallow waters. Coral reefs are formed by dead polyps. Okay, let's see what the other group has.
20 words. The coral reef likes to live in warm, shallow water. The coral reef is formed by remains of polyps. It protects the coast. 19 words. The coral reef lives in warm and shallow water. On the remains of dead polyps, it protects the coast.
So, to be the first summary that you're writing using this approach, I believe everybody did a very good job. You have 15 words, 20 words, and 19 words. So, it means you were able to keep it to the number, right? Which was something challenging because it's a lot of information, right? And just to put it in a few words is very challenging. So I'm going to read to you my version of it. I have 18 words, and I have corals live in warm, shallow waters and grow on the remains of dead polyps. They protect the coast. Okay? So I am just going to go over the steps for getting the gist approach. First of all, you read the passage that you're given. In this case, our passages were very short, but if it's a long story, then you read the story, you read the text, whatever is given to you, you write a title, okay, and then you answer the 5 W questions, which are who, what, where, why, and when. Okay, and we also answer the H question, which is how. In this case, we only answered what, we omitted the who, and we said what is the passage about, where do corals live, how are corals formed, and why are coral reefs important. Okay? And after answering the questions, the 5 W questions and the H question, then we use that information to come up with our summary. And remember, the trick to this is keeping our summary to a few words. Okay? So we want to make it as concise as possible. We just want to give the gist or the main idea of what we have read. And so, in limiting our summary to 20 words, then we are looking forward to just having the main points. Okay? And so, also remember that in the summary, you can reword your writing, the summaries, let us have some of you share. I will ask a few volunteers to share in the interest of time. I'll ask 3 of you to do so. Okay? When you read the summary, please tell me the amount of words and then you read the summary.
17 words. The baboon sanctuary is located in northwest Belize. The howler monkeys are protected in their habitat.
Okay. Let's have another.
21 words. The baboon sanctuary live in northwest of Belize. They are protected in their environment. The sanctuary protects plants and animals.
21 words, is it? Okay.
22 words. Black howler monkeys and birds and wild animals are protected by their environment in the community baboon sanctuary in northwest Belize.
As they were reading, please notice the difference in beginning for each of them. For example, she begins with the community baboon sanctuary is located in northwest Belize. That is the first idea she's telling us, okay? The first main idea that she is summarizing for us. While he has black howler monkeys, birds, and wild animals are protected in their environment, okay, in the community baboon sanctuary. So roughly he's saying the same thing, but he is putting them in other words, right? So the order in which you answer the questions doesn't necessarily mean that that's the order you will summarize it, right? He's telling us the same thing, but he worded his sentences differently than hers, right? And she has the community baboon sanctuary is in northwest of Belize. They are protected in their environment. They referring to the baboons, right? So she started similarly to her in that they stated where the sanctuary is from. Okay? They gave us the name of the sanctuary and then they told us where it is from. He began by telling us what is protected in the sanctuary and then giving us the name and where it is located, right? So notice the order of the words then is not, the order of the information is not stick to the order of the questions. You can order it how you want, but at the end we want to end up with the same idea, right? So I'm going to give you my summary of the passage and help me to count. And the community, how many words there? Baboon sanctuary in northwest Belize protects animals and plants in their natural habitat. In other words, this sanctuary does not only protect howler monkeys, but also other animals and plants. So we have the community baboon sanctuary in northwest Belize protects animals and plants in their natural habitat. One sentence to the point, giving us the main idea of what the reading was about. So how many words did you have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
16, and if we count this as 1 instead of 2 because it is a hyphenated word, then it would be 15, right? So 15 words giving us the main idea of. Okay. So I want, having done 2 practice activities using the GIST approach, I would like you to share with me how you find this strategy. Do you think it helped you to summarize and get the main idea?
Yes.
Yes. You think it was easier than than just thinking about the passage like that. If I had told you, okay, I want you to summarize this paper and give it to you just like that, would you think you have been able to come up with a sentence like that? No. Okay. So I would like you to tell me a little bit about how you found this exercise.
I found it easy because I could write the things in the paper and read it again.
Okay. And that helped you to understand what you read, right? Anybody else wants to? Judy, would you like to tell us how you felt about this? Do you think it was something difficult that you couldn't cope with?
I felt easy because I can put the words in, put the meaning very
Okay, you can.
orderly.
Yes, you can. Okay, I understand what you're saying. So in other words, you're saying you can put the main idea in just a few words, right? Okay, anything else? Javier?
I found it easy because when I read it, I understand it, and when I write it and I will read it again, I will understand it again.
Okay. And the one
And
sentence.
I learn more if I read and write.
This exercise helped me.
It is quite easy. I understand because we explained it the first time. And so when I read the passage, it was not hard to read it. So I understand it. Good.
So having me give you an example and doing it together help you. Okay, let's do it here. Jackson?
This passage was interesting because it gives me a lot of hope the monkeys, because I like the monkeys and other animals.
Okay, and writing the summary, how do you think that having the questions help you to write what the whole passage was about? You think it made it easier? Were you able to find information to answer the questions?
Yes, it was easy.
Okay. So generally, what can you tell me about?
Happy translating. When I read the passage, I understand it very well, but when I write the summary, I understand it more.
Okay. And did you like it? Do you think you can use it another time? Would you like to use it another time?
Yes.
Yes, it makes your reading and your writing much, much easier, right? Okay, then thank you for being such a good. We are going to see where else we can use this strategy, right? After conducting the lesson, I can see that the GIST strategy facilitates comprehension because it is easy to follow. It has a few steps and it keeps the reader on task. The questions are very helpful because they limit the wording of the summary. This was the first time I was using this strategy, so it was a learning experience for me. As I reflect on the lesson, there are two things which I believe could have been improved. First of all, it would have been excellent if the steps of using the GIST approach were presented in writing and not just orally. I believe that this would have helped the students to see the steps better. In addition, during the second activity, I think it would have helped if students got a different color of marker, as this would have differentiated between the question and the answers, and this would have helped them to get just the information that they needed for the summary. Generally, I believe the lesson was very productive and that the objective was accomplished as expected.